Hello everyone, it's Rebecca from Chloe's Creative Cards, and today I'm going to show you how to make this card using our gorgeous Chloe Classics ice skating stamp. So we'll get started. So I've brought in an 8x8 card blank, and then I have cut a piece of rose quartz pearl card to 7 3/4 inches, so it fits perfectly on our card blank. And I'm just going to edge that in some Crystalina Sparkalicious. So I'm just going to take my chisel tip glue pen and I'm just going to butt it up to the edge and drag towards me like so, and I'm going to do that on all four corners, and then I'm going to dunk that in some Crystalina Sparkalicious. So I'm just dunking that in and tapping off the excess. So, okay, then we've got that lovely sparkly border around the edge. So I'm going to stick that onto my card blank using some Collal all-purpose glue. I'm just going to apply that to the back and then stick that on. So, next I've taken the sheet from the Candy Cane Lane paper pad, and I'm going to stick that on using some foam pads. So just applying those to the back. Like so. And just rip off the backs of those. And then stick that on. Cool. I've then taken a piece of white card and I'm going to edge that in some Crystalina glitter again. So again, just with that chisel tip glue pen, dragging towards, and then I'm going to dunk it in our Crystalina Sparkalicious. So, and again just giving that lovely glittery border, and then I've taken another sheet from the Candy Cane Lane paper pad, so I'm just going to stick that one onto the white first before I stick it onto my card. I'm going to stick that onto there, and then I think I've cut the white, so I've cut the pink layer at 7 3/4. The patterned paper, the first pattern paper at 7.5 inches square. Then I've cut this one at the white at 7 inches square, and then this pattern paper at 6 3/4 inches square. But we're just going to offset this one, so I'm going to stick it on with some foam pads. So again, just apply those to the back, and then we're just going to slightly offset this one onto the card. Like so. There we go. Okay. Then I've taken a piece of Jupiter pearl card, and then we're going to offset this one as well. So I've taken a piece of Jupiter and another piece of patterned paper, and I'm going to attach this one onto my card using some foam pads. Again, I'm going to stick this one on first flat, and then we'll stick it onto the card. Like so. So a few foam pads on the back. We're going to offset this one the other way. Make sure that paper's central. There we go. Stick that one down. Okay. Then I have taken the ice skating stamp. The ice skate. There we go. So this is from our Chloe Classic set. So I've got mine to show you here. So you get the ice skate, the little sweeties, the little spray, the bowl and the mittens. So I've taken the ice skate and just popped that onto an acrylic block. And I'm going to stamp this one out using some Wow Clear embossing ink onto some heat resistant acetate. I'm just going to get rid of all that glitter first. Okay, so I've just taken a sheet of heat resistant acetate. I'm just going to tap my anti-static bag all over, like so. Just tap off any excess, and I'm going to ink up my ice skate. Not sure. Okay, just going to stamp that down. You do have to be careful on the acetate because it does slide quite a bit, so always make sure that you've got one kind of hand on the stamp, keeping it in place. And then we're going to lift that off, and then just bring in some scrap paper, and then I'm going to heat emboss that using some opaque bright white. Now you do this twice to create 2 skates, but I've already got mine done just so that they were dry, ready to show you. So I'm just tapping off the excess. And then we'll just heat that up. Again, just waiting for that powder to melt and change, and then carefully moving over the image. Okay, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it over. Okay, so I'm working on the back of the ice skate now. And I'm going to infill it with glitter. So I'm going to do this large section first. So I'm just going up to the lines and just infilling it with my Dries Clear glue. All the way around. Like so. Now these do take quite a long time to dry when you've glittered onto acetate, so they are best to be left overnight. But then you can do like a big batch of them all together and then leave them overnight to dry, and then they'll be ready to use the next day. Like so, so we've just infilled that there. Okay, and then I'm going to bring in our Red Velvet Sparklicious. And then our red poinsettia, sorry, I forgot red velvet. Let's have a little look. Yeah, there it is. Just picked out the wrong one. So this one's a chunkier red. It just looks lovely. It's a beautiful colour. There we go. And just get that back in the pot. Okay, and then I'm going to it is a good idea to leave that bit to dry first and then do the other bits after, but just for demonstration purposes I'm just going to show you now, and I'll be as careful as I can. So I'm going to infill this little bottom bit here, and then I'm going to cover that one with chunky Crystallina. I'm just going to carefully try and not get it on the red as much as I can. As I say, it is a good idea to kind of leave it in between, just then you're not mixing the colours. There we go. Then I'm going to infill the blade part of the skate, again with that Dries Clear glue. It is really important that it must be Dries Clear, otherwise it's not going to shine through on the other side. And I have found that this glue is the best for doing that with. It really does dry clear. And then I'm going to fill in this bit here where the laces are. Just working my way around. like so. Okay, then I'm going to take my Crystallina. So again, just trying to, as best you can, avoid those other colours. But if you've left it to dry, you won't have that problem. And then again, like so. Okay. And you can see from the other side that at the moment it looks very white, okay, but if you've used it dry as clear glue, that will dry completely clear. So I have done some to show you so that they were dry. So you can see how glittered on the back and then it's shining through those colours on the front perfectly. Okay, so then to make up the ice skate, all I did was added some tiny little gems just to the little laces and a couple onto the snowflakes. I'll just use some nail art gems for that. And then we're going to make the top. So you can see here that from the stamp I have trimmed away the holly. Okay, so I've chopped off that of the holly because we don't need that on the acetate really. And then what I've done is I've stamped that out again. So I've stamped out just the top onto some white card and embossed that with metallic silver sparkle, just so that we then have the tops of the ice skate. So I'm going to stick those on with some foam pads. And then I've just infilled as well the holly. So I've just gone in again, just with my dry as clear glue, gone around the whole of the holly and then dunked that in some Crystallina Sparklicious. So I'm going to add those to the top, like so. And then I've taken some red thin satin ribbon. I think this might be about a 6mm width. So I've taken some of that, so I've just cut 2 strips and then I'm going to cut those diagonally in the middle so it creates 2. Then all I've done is I've taken some Pin Flare 3D glue gel and I just add some blobs just to the top here on both of the skates. And then I'm going to stick those little ribbons onto there. Just like so. Okay, then I'm going to add a little bit more Pin Flare just onto there. And then I'm going to cut some fur. So we've got some faux fur here, just to create that fluffy effect. So I'm just going to trim off a piece of that. Get rid of, it does create a little bit that's loose, so I just take off all of that. And then just trim it again, just to size. And get rid of that. So you can see I've got that lovely fluffy piece. Now I just tend to round off the corners just so that you don't see those bits. And then I'm going to stick that onto there, like so. I'll just get rid of those fairy bits. There we go. Okay, so again I'm going to do the same with the other. I'm just going to put those 2 pieces. I'm just going to stick those onto there and onto there. Again, another couple of blobs of Pin Flare, and I'm just going to cut another piece of the fur and then move that out of the way so it doesn't get sticky. So again, just taking off that excess fluff. Again, just might need a little bit of trimming just to make it the perfect size to fit on your ice skate. Like so, and then we'll stick that on there like that. I just think it looks so stunning with that fur on there. I've then just taken 4 little pom-poms. 4 little white pom-poms, and I'm just gonna stick a little bit of, put them in a little bit of 3D glue gel and stick those to the ends of the ribbons, just like so. Again, it's just another little finishing touch that I really think makes a huge difference. And that will be your beautiful skates. I then just added 2 little bows. I tied 2 little red bows and I'm just going to stick those onto the top. So again, just going to use a little bit of 3D glue gel. I'm just going to stick those to the top where the ribbons are. And then that would be your finished ice skates. I just think they look so beautiful. It's so pretty. Okay, so I'm going to bring in my card again and just pop those ice skates just to the side. I'm going to bring in my card, and then what I've done is I've taken one of the Snowflake circles and I've just trimmed that from, I've just cut that into some rose quartz pearl card. Okay, and then I've just taken one of the basic circles, which was a little bit bigger, and cut that from Jupiter. I've taken a smaller circle and again cut that from Jupiter, and then a smaller circle again and cut that from Crystal White. Okay, so I'm going to stick the largest circle onto the card using some foam pads. We'll just bring in one of those. I'm just going to stick that into the sort of the top corner of the card. Now for the pink circle, the pink snowflake circle, I just edged that again in with some Crystallina. So just went round the edge with the chisel tip glue pen, just covering over those snowflakes, like so, all the way around. And then again, I'm just going to dunk that in some Crystallina Sparklicious. Just all the way around, tapping off the excess, like so, and it just again gives it that lovely sparkly edge. I'm going to stick that one into the centre of the Jupiter circle, again with some foam pads, like so. And then I'm going to stick on our smaller Jupiter red circle and stick that into the centre. Okay, and then I'm going to bring in, and turn that over, my crystal white circle. And I'm just going to dust that over with an anti-static bag. And then I'm going to bring in my sentiment, which is from the Candy Cane Lane Sentiments, and it says, "Believe in the magic of Christmas." I just thought it was a lovely sentiment to go with these ice skates. So I'm just going to dunk that in my Wow clear embossing ink and stamp that into the centre. And I'm going to heat emboss that using some metallic silver sparkle. Like so. Just get rid of those little bits down there. There we go. Okay. Pop that back in the pot. And then I'm going to heat that up. Again, just moving the heat gun over the image when you can see that powder melt and change. Then again, I'm just going to edge that with some glue and then dunk it in some Crystallina. So I'll just use my chisel tip glue pen again, just carefully moving that circle around. Like so. Okay. And again, just dunking it in that glitter and tapping off the excess. Okay, and then I'm going to bring in my card again, and I'm just going to add that on using some foam pads again. Just going to stick that onto there. Okay, I'm then going to bring in my ice skates, and I'm going to stick those on using some pin flare. You could use pin flare, or you can use some foam pads, whichever you prefer really. So I'm just going to add a blob onto the back, like so, and I'm just going to stick that onto there. And again, I'm going to bring in the other ice skate, and again just add a couple of blobs onto the back, and stick those onto there. And then at least with the pin flare as well, you can kind of reposition, so if you haven't quite it quite where you want it, then you can still move it around. There we go, so I'm quite happy with that. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to create the candies to go in the top. So I have taken all of the little candy sweets from the stamp plate, and I've just put those onto an acrylic block. And then I've brought in some white card, just some plain white card. So I've got a piece of that. And I'm just going to give it a little dust over with my anti-static. And then I'm using a VersaFine Onyx Black ink pad. So I'm just going to ink those up. So again, just dunking those in the ink, like so. I've got all those muffins in there, that doesn't a good idea. Okay. And then I'm going to stamp that, move that ink pad up onto my card, like so. And I think for this one, I think I've only used the little candy lollipop and the sweetie, but you do get the 3 candies on there. So I'm going to bring in some scrap paper again, and I'm just going to cover that in some clear gloss wow powder, like so. So I did a candy lollipop and a sweetie for each ice skate. And then I'm just going to heat that up. Okay, and then I just coloured these in using some Copic markers. So I've got a pink one, which is RV21, which is light pink. And I'm just going to colour the sweetie in the centre with this pink colour, just going all over, like so. And then I'm just going to colour alternative sections of the lollipop. So, and then I've got my red, which is R29, which is the colour Lipstick Red. So I'm just going to colour in the outer edges of the sweetie with this one. And then I'm going to colour in the other sections. Sorry, I go really quiet when I'm colouring in. And then I'm just going to colour in the stem of the lollipop, the stick. Okay. Then again, if you wanted to do some candy canes to go in, you could do those as well. I'm not going to bother colouring those in because I haven't used it on this card. I then just went in with some Dry's clear glue, and I'm just going to infill the little sections on here that are red. Okay, and just carefully working round. Like so. And then I'm going to cover that in some red poinsettia Sparklicious. There we go, and you can see that we've got that lovely sparkle on that sweetie. And then I'm going to go in with my glue on the large part of the sweet, the pink part, and again just infill that. And then I'm going to cover that in Pink Perfection. There we go. You might wonder why we've coloured underneath, but sometimes it just gives it that extra finishing touch. So if there is a little area that you've missed with the glue and there isn't any glitter there, the red or the pink will be underneath, so it won't particularly show that you've missed a part. Whereas if it's just the glitter, then you'll see that there'll be a white space underneath. So there we go, we've got our lovely sweets glittered up. So I've done some of these already just to make sure that they were dry. I'll just bring those in. So I've got 2 little lollipops and 2 little sweeties that are all lovely and dry. And then I have taken the candy spray. So I'll just bring in that stamp. So I've got my candy spray, and I'm just going to put that onto an acrylic block. And I'm just going to give my mat a dust again because it's got rather glittery. And then I'm just going to bring in my acetate again. I have to be really careful because that skate is still wet. And I'm going to bring in my anti-static, and I'll just dust this little bit at the bottom. And I'm going to stamp out 2 of these sprays. So again, using my Wow Clear embossing ink, I'm just going to stamp out 2 of those sprays. Like so. Then I've used metallic silver sparkle again. I'm just going to sprinkle that over and tap that off. And then we'll just heat that up. And then I'm just going to carefully fussy cut those out. Now, as they're on acetate, it's really quite easy because it doesn't matter how close you are. It doesn't have to be cut out perfectly. Just a quick cut roughly around those edges will be great. And nobody will know because it's nice and clear. So again, you can see it's just taking me a couple of seconds just to cut that out. I do love to fussy cut out, so I love stamping loads of these little bits out and sitting and cutting them all out at once and putting them in a little box. There we go, you can see that they're both cut out. Okay, I'm then just going to take some dry as clear glue and add a blob of glue to each of the candies on the spray. Again, just a quick blob of glue onto there. Then I've got some of our candy cane and embellishments. I'm just going to tip those out onto my paper. Then I am going to stick those onto my little sprays. So I'm just going to carefully find the little red ones and just carefully add those on. Do normally have my little pickup tool and a little pair of tweezers. Oh, here it is. There we go. So I'm just going to carefully pick those up and just dot those on. Like so. Oh, put some little gingerbread men on there as well if you wanted to. That's one done, and the other one. There we go. Like so. There we go. And then I'm just going to move these back in the packet. Okay, and I'm going to bring my card back in that we've started. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tuck those sprays in behind our ice skates. So I'm just going to take some 3D glue gel. Now, it might be best to wait until these have dried, but I'll just be careful. So I'm just going to add a blob of glue on the back and then pop them in behind the skates. again, I just carefully pick that one up. Blob of glue, and just add those in behind the skirts. I'm then going to take our little sweeties as well, and again just add a blob of glue on the bottom of those and just tuck those in as well. Like so. Of glue. Tuck those in. Okay, I've then taken some of the candy canes from our candy pack. So I've taken 4 of those. So on our original card I've used the red ones, this time I'm going to use the little colourful ones. So again, I'm just going to add a blob to the bottom of those, and again just carefully tucking those in behind our ice skates. It just looks like they're filled with candy. There we go. Okay, and then to finish off the card, I've just added some little dots into the background. Just kind of added a couple of little dots. And again, I've just used some of those lovely little sweetie candies. So I've just dotted those on. Like so. And then I've tied a bow. So I've just got some pink organza dotty ribbon. So I'm just going to tie a triple bow. So I'm going to wrap it around my first finger and then wrap it around my third finger. Around the first, around the third, around the first and around the third. And then I'm going to pull that over and put my thumb over the top. I'm just going to trim away that. So I can move that roll. Then I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to wrap it all the way around underneath. And I'm going to carefully pull that up. And I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to create a knot. So I'm going to wrap that underneath to create like a little knot and pull. Okay, you might need to keep just adjusting the ribbons. And then that would be your triple bow. And just slide it off your fingers. And there you've got your lovely bow. I'm just going to trim those edges. So I'm just going to create a little V cut in those. Like so. And then I'm going to add this to the top of the card using some 3D glue gel again. And then I'm going to add one of our brand new sparklers to the centre. Now these are extremely exciting. Couldn't wait for these to come in. They come in a little bag like this. So it's a brand new pack that I'm getting to use. I'm just going to take one of those out of there, and this one's the 12mm one. So again, I'm just going to add a blob of 3D glue to the back and stick that into the centre. And that would be your finished card. Okay, you could go in and add in some more little pearls or some little gems if you wanted to. I just think that that looks beautiful. It's so sweet, so pretty. Okay. As always, everything to make this card will be available to buy on www.chloescreativecards.co.uk, and there will be a full product list in the description below. Thank you for watching today, everybody. Bye.